Forward rates are the interest rates that will prevail in the future according to the yield curve that currently exists. We see our yield curve. It gives yield to maturities into the future. From that, we can imply what interest rates will look like in the future, and that is our market estimates of those forward rates right now. A forward rate, and here's the notation that we will use, forward rate from T to T plus 1 is the interest rate that will prevail from period T to T plus 1. I have on my timeline here 5 periods in the future. Those are semi-annual periods, so that 1 is 6 months in the future, 2 is 1 year in the future, and so on and so forth. 5 periods in the future would be 2 1/2 years. We have then, for these 5 periods, 5 forward rates. One from 0 to 1. Currently, the yield on the 6-month bill from 0 to 1. Then we have a forward rate from 1 to 2. That's giving the interest rate from period 1 to period 2. All right, that period, forward rate 1 to 2 is actually, if you sit back and think about it, this is the yield that will exist 1 period from now for a 6-month bond. All right, that is what that forward rate implies. So we're sitting here today at time 0. The forward rate 1 to 2 is the market-driven expectation of the forward rate from 1 to 2. Now, obviously, that could change from now till the period due to market changes. But right now, that is the market estimate of what that forward rate is. Going out, let's take the example of period 4, 2 years in the future. Our current estimate of what the 6-month T-bill will pay at period 4, if we bought it in period 4 and held it to 5, the yield on that would be forward rate 4 to 5. All right, what we know is a yield curve will tell us what those forward rates are. We will imply it from the yield curve, and positive or increasing yield curves imply that those forward rates are increasing. I am now going to give an example of how to use forward rates, and this example will be for a 6-month bond with a rate of 1%. So we can invest right now and get a 1% yield to maturity. Our forward rate from 6 months, so this is forward rate from 1 to 2, from 6 months to a year is 1.25. How we came up with that, we will talk about that later in later modules. So now the question is, what is the expected future value of $1,000 invested today in a 6-month bond? So we're going to start it in a 6-month bond, and then we're going to reinvest it in a 6-month bond in 6 months. So that forward rate from 6 months to 1 year is what we're going to reinvest it in, or 1.25. So the first 6 months, we will have $1,000 invested. We will get 1% or half of that, or $105. All right, we then reinvest that $105 in 6 months from now, and we get a 1.25% return, or in the future, we will have 1 year from now, if we reinvest it and get 1.25 in a 6 months from now, we will have $1,011.28. We could do this alternatively. Obviously, 1,000 times our first yield, or first yield to maturity, or first forward rate, and then multiply it again by our second forward rate. Put that in there because that has a specific meaning. That happens to be our spot rate. If we look at that combined term, we come up with a spot rate for that 1-year bond, and that will be discussed in future modules. Again, forward rates, they are the interest rates that will prevail according to our yield curve into the future.